All right, boys and girls, today we're going to be reading a very fun story about two animals, and the animals in the story is a llama and an alpaca. So here we can see the differences between a llama and an alpaca. So here we have an alpaca, and here we have a llama. So we can see the alpaca has more of a round-shaped head with a nose that sticks out just a little bit. And we can see the llama has his nose kind of attached to his head. So his whole head is kind of elongated with his nose. It looks a little bit longer, where in alpaca we can see the little bit difference between the nose and his head. And did you guys know that alpacas eat a lot of grass? They don't eat any meat. They eat a lot of grass, leaves, and they even eat bark off of trees and some sticks and stuff like that. And then llamas, they can communicate while humming. Can you guys hum with me? You're communicating just like a llama, so that's how they talk to each other, is by humming. So here we have our story. So looking at this cover, what do you think this animal is? Do you think he is a llama or an alpaca? We can see kind of the shape of his head is more of a circle, and we can see that his kind of nose is a little bit detached. It looks a little bit smaller. So what animal do you think this is? If you guys said an alpaca, you're right, because alpacas have the tiny nose and the round head, when llamas have the longer nose attached to their head. Very good. All right, so looking at the cover of the story, what do you think the story is going to be about? Let's see some guesses. What do you think this story is going to be about? All right, so there's many different things that this story can be about, because all we see here is just a picture of an alpaca. There's not many different details that we can tell what the story is going to be about. So maybe the alpaca is going on an adventure. Maybe he's going to tell us about his family. Maybe he's going to try to go to the zoo. We don't really know what the story is going to be about, because there's not much detail given to us on the cover. So we don't really know what's going to be on the inside. So this story is called Macca the Alpaca, and it is by Matt Cosgrove. So Matt Cosgrove is the author and illustrator of this story. So the author, if you guys remember, the author is the person that writes the words to the story, and the illustrator is the person that writes or that draws the pictures to the story. So an author is the one that writes the words, and the illustrator is the one that draws the pictures. So Matt Cosgrove is the author and illustrator, which means that he drew the pictures to the story and wrote the words. So now we're going to get into the book. Let's see what Macca the Alpaca does. All right. This guy is called Macca. He's an alpaca. He loves splashing in puddles and gives the best cuddles. Does Macca look happy here? Does he look happy or sad or angry? Right, he looks very happy. We can see him splashing in the puddles, and we can see his face is all lit up and he's very excited. He's playing with all of his friends as well. Macca's days were carefree, filled with giggles and glee. Until drama, a llama. How do you think this llama looks? Does he look happy, sad, angry? What do we think? He does not look happy at all. We can see his face. He just looks very angry. He doesn't look very happy. Macca looks a little scared to be running into him. Right. This guy is called Harmer. He's no charmer. He's big and tall and strong, but sometimes he acts wrong. So it says that Harmer's acting wrong. What did Harmer do that was wrong? Right, Harmer kicked Macca. That's not very nice at all. Harmer was mean, quite the worst you've seen. He took Macca's toys and made a lot of noise. You can see him here. He's not being very nice to Macca. He says, "You puny pipsqueak, I'm strong and you're weak." Macca said, "No, you're wrong. I'm surprisingly strong." The pair made a bet and a challenge was set. So they're gonna challenge to see if Macca's strong. Do you think Macca's gonna be strong, or do you think he's gonna be weak like Harmer said? You think he's gonna be strong? Let's see what Macca does. All right, Harmer says, I'll move this boulder. Harmer pushed with his shoulder. He huffed and puffed and nudged till it finally budged. So this is our boulder. So what do you think a boulder is looking at this picture? Right, a boulder is sort of like a big rock. It's a giant rock. So that's what a boulder is. And Harmer nudged until it finally budged. So nudged means that he was pushing it a little bit, and then budged means that it moved just a little bit. It didn't move a lot, but it moved a little bit. So he pushed until it finally moved a little bit. When Macca's turn came, he just used his brain. So we can see Macca is using a different way because maybe he was too small to be able to push the boulder, but he did move the boulder in a different way. So he used his head to think of some other way that he could move the boulder. Said Harmer. Well, why don't you try to reach up this high? You can see Macca is very short down here. Easily done, using this. Harmer let out a hiss. So how did Macca reach the tree? Did he grow? Did he grow really tall? Right, Macca used the ladder to reach the tree. So he thought of a different way again, and he reached the tree using a ladder because he wasn't that tall. Now that llama was fuming, his nasty mind zooming. So fuming means that he's really angry. He is not happy at all. We can see that he is very angry. He's fuming right now. And then Harmer says, okay, let's have a race. Try to keep pace. First stop to the top is the best. Full stop. So now they're gonna race up this giant mountain. I wonder who's gonna win. Let's see. They took off in a flash and began their mad dash up the steep mountainside. But then rocks started to slide. Uh-oh. Being nimble and light, Macca made it all right. As he leapt to the summit, he saw Harmer plummet. So we can see Harmer here is plummeting. So looking at what Harmer's doing, what do you think plummet means? What do you think? Right, plummet means he's falling right now. So plummet means falling at a very high speed. So we can see Harmer is plummeting down this mountain. Well, Macca is just watching him. Uh-oh. Some might call it karma. And that big tough llama went crash, bang, and splat. And that, my friends, was that. Harmer said, plainly shaken, turns out I was mistaken, for you've proved it quite clearly. Size doesn't matter, really. Macca gave a little shrug and then gave Harmer a big hug. All right, so let's review this book. Let's see what happened in the beginning. We can see Harmer came in and he was not happy, right? Harmer was being very mean to Macca. Why do you think Harmer was being mean to Macca? What did he say at the beginning? Right, he told Macca that he was weak because of the way that he looked on the outside, because Macca is a lot shorter than Harmer. So Harmer thought that he must be weak and that he couldn't do any of the challenges. But let's see. What did Macca do to prove that he could do the challenges? Yeah, Macca used a different way to do the challenges. So he wasn't that strong, but he found a different way to move the boulder. And he wasn't that tall, but he found a different way to reach the tree. Yeah, so in the middle, Macca proved Harmer wrong, that he could be strong and that he could do the challenges, and it didn't matter what he looked like on the outside. And then we could see at the end that Harmer said, turns out I was mistaken, for you've proved it quite clearly. Size doesn't matter, really. So we can see that the two made up because Harmer realized that he judged Macca. He judged Macca too soon by the way that he looked on the outside, and he didn't get to know him on the inside, so he didn't think that Macca could complete the challenges. Macca proved him wrong. So next time that we're all playing with our friends, we can remember to always make sure that you know the person before you judge them on the outside. So you can't judge somebody on the outside for what they look like. You have to get to know them first. And that is the story of Macca the Alpaca by Matt Cosgrove.